Hey everybody, this is Zoltan, and now we are on episode 11. And what we're doing now is getting promoted to Serie A, so this will be a little bit more challenging. And as you know, we started out as a one-star team. We were basically the worst team in the world, and we have used the free agency and some youth team players to build up our team as much as we possibly could. We just brought in a few new players, so let's review that. If we go in here to, first of all, you can see that is my top signing here as my left back. Mendel has agreed to this contract, as you could see in the previous episode. We also have Dolberg, who just came in, and he was a expiring contract, so we were able to bring him in just by offering him a contract, and we didn't have to pay a transfer fee. So I do have a few other possible guys that I'm looking at here. If you look inside the no renewal transfer fee, we do have Wijnaldum that we can now afford, because as you can see, our salary budget is 10.99. I had all of our winnings from last season go into that, so now we can go ahead and make an offer. Oops, I removed him from my listed players. That's not what I wanted to do. And I have another player here that just popped up out of nowhere. This is Ricky Puig, or Puig, however you want to pronounce it. And this would definitely be a nice addition to the team. He's only 22 years old, certainly a lot of room to grow. And let's see, he says that he would welcome a move to the club, so I could actually offer him maybe even one click lower than it's popping up here at 798. So I can go maybe down to 718 possibly, and offer him a 3-year deal. And I'm only allowed to have 5 negotiations at a time, and as you can see, I have currently just 2 other negotiations occurring at this same moment. So if you go into look here, we already offered Wijnaldum and Ulrich their requested salaries, and I'm hoping that they will accept those, because that will be a huge addition to the team. And if I can bring in those 3 guys, I think that would be excellent. Another thing to look for is I need a backup goalkeeper. So I did notice in here that Iñaki Peña certainly might be a good choice. And let's see if he would welcome a move to the club where he'll get more significant role. Actually, he'll be a backup again. But let me go ahead and just offer him like 1 click less and give him 3 years. So that will only allow me, I think, 1 more person. So I could go with this guy. His name is Chong. I think it's, I don't know, I don't think it's Tommy Chong. I don't know what his first name is, but that would be funny if it was Tommy Chong. I've tried to get him before, but for some reason he always denies me, and he's on a expiring contract. One thing that's good to do is look at any regions that may have popped up, and you can just reduce the age down to 17 and see who else comes in here. So we have, the first one is David Luiz, which normally you might think this would be a really good guy to try to get, but one of the things I've noticed about this game is if they're a 73 overall, they have a certain expectation for salary. But here's the problem. His defensive awareness is only 69, which is very low for somebody that you would think would be a 73 overall, and I would have to develop that. But why is it so low? And it's really because all of his other numbers that are sometimes not that important are significantly higher than usual. So his offensive awareness, for example, which doesn't seem too high, 63, but it is high for like many other center backs. Like look at this guy, for example, is 51 overall, and his defensive awareness is 78. So That's basically 9 points higher than someone who is 4 points higher overall. So if you're really thinking, you want your center back mostly to have good defensive awareness, this guy, David Luiz, regen is not necessarily the best way to go, I think. So it's nice to have somebody who has some good speed. As you can see, 75. He has decent ball control, dribbling speed. Those are all good things to have. Low pass, but at the same time, you're kind of sacrificing things like balance is 59, and if you look at defensive awareness, 69. It's not very good. So I might pass on him, and I've got my eye on somebody else. So why don't I go ahead and go back to the Chong and see what I can get from him, if he would be willing to accept a deal here. So he's not impressed, so I would have to offer him more. So if I bump it up a couple of clicks and give him a 3-year deal, that would be great if I can get him. He's still a pretty young player, and that would be a really good backup to have as my growing, developing right wing. But that's it. That's all I'm allowed to do. I'm only allowed to have 5 offers going at a time. So the first 2 I offered a couple days ago, so I should get a response from them pretty quickly. And I am actually in the process now of getting rid of some players because I could see my youth team. I have a center forward here, Wagner Love, who retired from Corinthians, is now in my youth team. He's definitely somebody I should consider bringing in, and I've got some other center backs and center forwards here. A lot of goalkeepers for some reason, kind of low-rated goalkeepers, which I don't really need because I've got a couple on my team that I kind of want to get rid of. So I can adjust and put some players on my listed players just because I know I can replace them with guys from the youth team. But I do have here this guy who just came in, and if you remember from the previous episode, he's now my starting left back. But I do have some guys here that I'm trying to sell. So here's a left winger that I'm going to try to sell, and I'll replace him with someone who is kind of similar, same age, same position. The main big difference really is that he doesn't have a real face, and I like to have real players. So I'm thinking about going with Cliver at some point, but I don't currently have enough transfer budget because it won't even let me look at this point, but it's asking for more than that. I've got a few other guys here that I'm trying to sell. Dembaba, I signed him as a regen last year, and another one here, Bravo, was another. So this is how you make your money, is you sign players who come off your youth team or free agents basically, and then you keep them for a year and then you can sell them. All these guys kind of fit into that category. Suleiman is actually one of my original players on my original team, so he's one of my last surviving players from the original 1-star team, so I already sold him and he's going to stay in Serie B. So that's where I'm at right now. I just going to advance, go forward. Let's see what kind of response that I get. One of my main things here is I definitely need to sell some players so that I have a chance to get Clivert, who I think has a lot of growth potential. And again, it's really just a matter of getting somebody with a real face that I think is kind of my most important thing. So good news. Both of these guys both decided to sign. So I can go in here and sign both of those players. They have now agreed. Doesn't appear to be any bonuses. As you can see, off for everything, which is important. So I can accept this. It's going to take a big ding out of my salary budget, 2.5 million. But that's a huge addition to the team. And then Ulrich also is going to be my starting goalkeeper. The other good thing about these guys is somebody like Wijnaldum has a market value of 53 million. So At some point, I will probably try to sell him before he retires, and that'll be a huge boost to my transfer budget. And then I'll be able to get that annual salary back as well. Very interesting that he took such a big financial loss on his salary from 4.7 million, which is what he had before, down to 2.5 million. So a lot of opportunity here for this guy. And then another one here does not have any release fee, so I can pretty much just keep him for a while, and he'll be my starting goalkeeper for probably a couple of years. So that's a nice addition to the team. I still can't make any other offers at this point because I need to clear those two players off my books, and the way to do that is by advancing one day, and we'll have probably, I would have thought, a cutscene coming here with Wijnaldum maybe coming out to the stage or meeting the coach. So there he is. Oh no, he's coming out to meet the press, and he doesn't know which chair to sit in, of course. Oh yes, he does. He sits right down. And yeah, you can customize, I don't know if you know this, but you can customize your background with 3 sponsors. So I actually chose 3 Italian sponsors to be my customized board in the back. Because remember, this team Doodling was originally a European other team because they are not originally from Italy. They're actually from Luxembourg, I believe, and I just changed them to their name to Milan Juniors. So let's see what else pops up here. We got newcomer notices pop in, so that means I have 2 new slots that I can now make a couple of possible transfers with Kluivert. As you can see, I'm 14 million, so I do not have enough for him, so I can try to offer a little less, maybe come down a couple of clicks to 16 million. And I imagine I probably will sell someone in the next couple of days, and I'll be able to afford that. I can give him a 3-year deal. I can even knock his annual salary up 1 so that he'll be happy with that. And this is one of my big targets that I want to try to bring in. Again, he's not really an upgrade, but it's somebody with a real face, so I think it's nice to have. And I'll sell this guy, and he has got a pretty good value. So, and that's one of the interesting things is that he actually, if you look at his value to the team, it's about the same. He's 80 overall. He's the same age. But look at the difference in his market value, which is 7.3 million, and his release fee is only 8.4. So I don't really have much more room to grow. If he goes up 1 more overall, he'll probably exceed his release fee anyway. So I'll either have to re-sign him, or, you know, and that's kind of part of the game. If you try to renew his contract, he'll give me a little bit more. He'll give me 10.6 million on his release fee, but then I'll have to increase his annual salary to 1.59, where his current annual salary is 1.3. So you're kind of taking on a little bit more salary in order to be able to increase the release fee that he's soon going to grow out of. Or you can just sell him. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do with many of my players, that once they exceed their or come close to hitting their release fee, at that point you either have to re-sign them or just sell them and move on to someone else. Like here's a good example. I'll probably have to re-sign Pasalic, or I could sell him if I'm able to successfully bring in Puig. So there's a few guys here I'm looking at that I'm putting on the list. Like here's one right here. Macaulay would be somebody I have to consider either selling or re-signing, because he's already kind of hit his release fee. He's only about $1 million away from that. And so I just kind of have to go through this list and look at, oh, there's somebody who's exceeded it. But he's part of my narrative, so I don't want to. I'm going to have to re-sign him because I don't want to lose him on my team. But here's another one. I definitely need to do something with Dembele. He was a regen, and he has now exceeded his market value of 17 million. Is now about 2 million above his release fee. So I'm going to have to either re-sign him or sell him. And let's see what he would give me. He would be able to give me a release fee of 23 million if I increase his annual salary a little bit to 447,000, which is quite a bit more actually. So that's a big jump. So those are the trade-offs that you have to consider one by one. This guy I might want to sell, so he's another possibility. And definitely this guy I'm trying to sell because he's already almost exactly his market value is almost exactly his release fee. So when you're doing a road to glory, here's another one here. He's 2 million above his release fee at this point, so I don't want to re-sign him. I'm pretty much just going to go ahead and try to sell him for the max amount that I possibly can, which is going to be close to 11 million. So I have to go through here one by one and see anybody. Uribe is another one who's exceeded his release fee. Nolito, I've put him on the transfer list as well because of the same reason. So that's how you work it. You kind of have to work your guys after having them on your team for a year. You either re-sign them or you sell them because it makes no sense to keep them growing if you're exceeding your release fee. So that's how you generate more income. And let's see, I've got 2 more slots, so I just had Clivert, so I got one more possibility here. Let's go see who else is still available. I'd like to take a look at some young players and see if there's still any more regions that might be still out there. Usually after a couple of days they get bought by other teams. But I still have one more slot, so David Luiz is still out here, surprisingly. But as I mentioned, I don't really want him. But this guy could be a decent backup left wing. He's only 70 overall, but he's 16 and he's got a real face. So let's see what he's asking for. 846,000. It's a little expensive, but look at his release fee is 14 million, so he's got a lot of room to grow. Has a good impression of our club, so we can actually probably go down a little bit, down to 761. Give him a 3-year contract, and that will be my 5th current negotiation at this point. I still got these guys on my youth team, which I don't need to bring anybody in now. I'll wait till later on when I see how the team starts to shape up. But I probably will add a couple of those guys too. Now I still have this guy that I'm scouting, is a center back. Really interesting player here who doesn't have a real face, but I cannot deny that this guy, who is a 78 overall, he's 23 years old, has a 90 defensive awareness, which is pretty amazing, and an 80 ball winning. His aggression is a little low. His other numbers are solid because he's also qualifies as a right back. So that's a good thing about him. He's got some ability to play another position. And heading is pretty good, even though I don't usually use my center backs for set pieces. But his speed is solid. I mean, there's nothing not to like about this guy, except for the fact that he doesn't have a real face. But he's young, and I really love that 90 overall defensive awareness. So I'm going to at least add him to my listed players, and we'll see if we can add him later on. But right now I only have a certain amount of slots, 5 slots available for my negotiations at a time. So we'll advance one more day and see what kind of response we get from these other guys that we recently... Puig is okay, but he seems like he asked for a little bit higher. Pena also, same kind of thing, so there's still some room there. And as I expected, Chong once again has declined my offer. So you can see there his picture, and for some reason he never accepts. I've tried to get him a couple of times before. So I can go in here and see what these other guys have renegotiated. So Puig is not asking for any bonuses, but a little bit more proposed annual salary. So he's asking for $43,000 more. And I think that's totally fine to bring in somebody like this. His new release fee will be $15 million, and that's just basically a free contract. So I'll go ahead and accept that, and definitely added a good contribution to the team, and it didn't cost me any transfer budget. And I can do the same here with my new backup goalkeeper. But he is asking for an appearance bonus, which is kind of a drag. I wish that had not happened, because 770 it's going to be a little bit of a problem, but I'll just go ahead and accept this for now. If you try to renegotiate, they end up usually asking for more salary, so it just offsets. So there's not really much you can do about it. And I'll advance one day. I don't know if we got a cutscene here or not with those new players coming in, but there's 2 new guys going to join. No cutscene. So let's see what happened here. Newcomer notice. So they're coming in. So now that I have 2 new goalkeepers, I can probably make some adjustment here. So here's my 2 new guys, and put somebody else on the list. This guy's currently not on the list, so I'm going to add him to my transfer list. And Bravo is still already there, but he's not yet received any offers, but 2 teams are in contact, so hopefully we'll be able to sell him pretty soon. And Demba Ba, he's got a couple of teams looking for him, so I think I can put Uribe on the list. Try to sell him. And this guy's not so important. I'll just leave him off the list for now. Galvan is somebody I'm considering. If I can get a good backup right wing, I'll put him on the list. Otherwise, I'll just keep him as my backup right now, because he still has 1 more year left on his contract beyond this year. So I don't necessarily need to re-sign him, I don't think. If I did re-sign him, his release fee would be $10.7 million, and that's not really much of an improvement. And that's the reason why I'm considering selling him. It only would increase his release fee by $500,000, which is not really worth it, because his market value is already at $8.6 million. So he's somebody I'm thinking about selling if I can replace him with someone else. But these center backs, I think it would be a good idea for me to sell one of them, especially this guy who's already so close to his release fee. But I've got another guy up here that's on the list, and it's just because he's a little older, I don't think he's going to grow as much. I have not put him on the list yet, but I do want to put him on there now. And to be honest, I really should sell this guy, because if I do, I don't know, if I renew his contract, he'll give me a release fee of 19.3, which will be $2 million higher. Gives me a little bit of possibility. So I'll hold off on this for now, because I don't have too many other center backs. And I do want to bring in somebody else at some point, but I need to wait to see what's going to happen with my negotiations with Kluivert before I do anything else. And I also need to sell somebody, so that will be pretty important, because I won't be able to accept the deal if I don't sell someone. So this guy, no surprise, he accepted my offer, the young guy. Kluivert, they've asked for a little bit more. So he's asking for quite a bit more, actually, 19.6. And this guy, Chadley, has accepted, so I'm just going to bring him into the team. It'll be a backup left wing. It's a little bit high, I think. I'm a little bit disappointed that he's asking for so much. I could try to continue to renegotiate. And as you can see, I don't have anywhere near that much. Maybe bring it down to 17.6. All right. And what I really need to do is I need to sell someone. Otherwise, I won't be able to accept Kluivert's deal, even if it is favorable. So I'm hoping to get some kind of offer. Newcomer came in. And oftentimes what you need to do is save the game at some point, and if you're not getting any offers, just go back and restart, because sometimes it just goes into a strange mode where it won't bring anybody, any offers in for some. Oh, here we go. Demba Ba. So let's take a look at what they're offering. And so that will probably put me over the line, what I need. So they're offering at 11.4 million. His market value is at 14 and his release fee is at 14. So I would expect I should be able to get something more in the 13 range. So let's try to renegotiate something a little higher. Maybe 13.6. And that will take a few days to get their response. Probably Kluivert, maybe don't think I'll get a response today. I'll probably have to wait till tomorrow. So I usually just advance one day at a time. Oh no, they responded. All right, so they negotiated something in between, and I got another offer for this really lower level player. So let's go take a look at what we got. So they are 18.7. I think that's reasonable. No bonuses, so I can definitely accept this deal. I think this is pretty good. I would like to take this, but as you can see, my transfer budget is only at 14 million, so I need to come up with another 4.7 million. So if I'm able to successfully sell Demba Ba region, then I will have enough to do that. I do have another player here at the bottom that they have offered 743,000, which is pretty close to his release fee anyway. So you can see it's kind of silly because his market value is at 2.5 million, but it just doesn't make sense for me to renew his contract because even the release fee would only be 1.5, which is still $1 million shy of what he's actually worth. And I don't think it's really worth it for me to increase his salary by triple when they won't give me the market value of what he's even currently at. So I never play this guy anyway. He's just someone I brought in a while ago, and he's just been sitting at the bottom of the roster. So I'll keep him on the... This was actually the team I just played in the previous episode. So I'll go ahead and just accept this. It's just not worth it for me to have him on the books anymore. But still, as you can see, that doesn't really put a dent in my much needed 18 million transfer budget. So I'm still going to have to wait for Demba Ba and see if they give me that, and that'll make a big difference if I get an extra 13 million from him. So yeah, this will bring me down pretty close to... I'll just be a couple center backs away, and I still need a backup right back, and there's the guy I just sold. who was a region, but it was kind of a low level guy. I got a new scouting result, so let's go see what came in. Oh, I should have changed this because I don't need a goalkeeper anymore. So that was a waste. I should have changed this to a backup right back because I did sell my backup right back at the end of last season. And I don't really need a left back, left wing anymore. I think what I will probably need is a right wing instead of a left wing. So change that. It really is important to use your scouting because that's where you get all the good deals. You get players that will sign for much less than their market value. So let's advance one more day here and see if Demba Ba is sold for the price that I wanted. I think I'll get a response today. And they renegotiated. So what did they do here? I don't know why they're being such sticklers. Oh boy. 12.1 million. Well, okay. I guess I just got to take that. I could probably try to renegotiate a little bit, but it's just not worth it at this point. They're getting a decent deal, I think, here at this point. I'll go ahead and accept this, and that will help me to bring in the money I need for Kluivert. So I will just turn right around and accept this deal. And that will knock my transfer budget down to 8.3 million, and I still have 3.8 million on my salary budget. And so that's kind of what I was hoping for. So I'll advance here one day. Maybe there'll be a big cutscene here for Kluivert to come in. So yeah, he doesn't know where to sit. Sit over here. So it's kind of interesting. I have the sons of two legends. Maldini, Daniel Maldini is on my team, and also now Kluivert. So it's kind of cool. And this team is certainly shaping up. Player departure. So let's look at what we got now. In my game plan will give me some kind of idea how much improvement has occurred. Where are they? So Dolberg was kind of a little bit of an upgrade, but I prefer the other guy. He's a little younger. And Kluivert is now slotted in here. And so as you can see, this is my current team. Pretty good. If you compare this team to other Serie A teams, this is kind of where I'm going. As you can see, I probably do need an upgrade at center back. That would be my next thing to do. And I do have one on my list that I'm kind of looking at who is a 78 overall. But that'll be really good. Then my whole team will be in the high 70s to low 80s range going into this season. I need Maldini to start to grow. I don't know why he hasn't grown very much. I have definitely been playing him, but I don't know what's going on with him. If I do compare this team to other teams in Serie A, like an average team like I am now, a 4-star team. So I started out as a 1-star team, and now we're a 4-star team. And my 77, 78, and 73, as you can see, my defense is still a little low, so once I bring in a couple more center backs, I think it'll be a much better team, and I still have a few guys that I want to sell, so I'll have enough money, I think, to bring in 2 center backs, and that'll be the next thing that I work on. But compared to some of these other teams, Empoli, who also was promoted actually last season, as you can see, they're only a 3-star team, and then Crouton, I don't know how they got into Serie A, but I guess they came in last season and didn't get demoted for some reason. But even if you compare to a team like Torino, we're in a similar category as them. We're even better than Atalanta, which is amazing. They're only a 3.5-star team, and we're already a 4-star team. And that's only after 2 seasons that we were able to increase from a 1-star team to where we are now. Even Sassuolo is 3.5 stars. Sampdoria is 3.5 stars. Obviously, Roma is much higher. So, Juventus is going to be hard to beat. Even Genoa is much, much lower. Look at them, 72, 70, and 68. So I think we're pretty competitive. If you look at other teams' squad list, they're also mostly in the high 70s or low 80s, so it's pretty similar to the team that we have now. And so if you go back and look at the previous 10 episodes, you can see how we were able to build this team from the ashes of a 1-star team up to what is now, a 4-star team. Is pretty amazing. So it's not by magic. I mean, mostly what we were able to do is use the free agency and youth players. And the other thing I really wanted to focus on was getting a team with real faces. So I have quite a good team. Every episode we were bringing in new players, and a lot of them are pretty young. So there's a lot more room for them to grow as well. So we got a lot of good players here with real faces. A few of them from the youth division that don't have real faces. But there's a lot of potential here. Look at that 16-year-old Paolo Maldini. I don't know why he hasn't grown. If he can get up in the mid-70s would be good. So some of these regions look ridiculous. He's obviously not 17. And so that's where we're at. And for the rest of this beginning of Season 3 here, transfer window, I'm probably going to bring in 2 more center backs and make this team really competitive in Serie A. And so that's it. Look for more of Season 3 coming up in Episode 12.